Hey everybody, it's been a long time since I made a top 10 list of anything since my previous account was taken down. Thank you very much, YouTube. So I've decided that I will take a break from writing fanfictions and get back into doing top 10s. And to kick things off, I will be taking a bit of a trip down memory lane and bringing you my top 10 favorite cartoon characters. Now, no doubt, there are some of you who will say, but anime are cartoons. No. Anime are most definitely not cartoons. There are a lot of differences between the two. The most notable one is that the majority of anime have this little thing called a plot, whereas, as far as I'm aware, the majority of cartoons do not. If you'd like to know more, go to www.difffan.com/difference/animeverse-cartoon. Now that that's out of the way, here are a couple of notes for you to know. First, I will be using one character per franchise. I will not be allowing myself any ties between characters. Second, and most importantly, this list is solely for fun. At no point must it be taken seriously, as with any top 10 list of this kind. Just ask KHF McAwesome. Okay, I've stalled long enough. Time to get started. At number 10 is a guy with insane reach and a heart of gold. However, he's not a guy in human terms. He's actually imaginary. He was thought up by a human but had to go to a foster home after he lost one of his arms. Have you guessed who I mean? That's right, Wilt. Of all the imaginary friends of Foster's, or at least the ones who get the most screen time, I have to say that, thinking back, Wilt was definitely my favorite. The other friends there are okay, but all of them have something holding them back, or in Blue's case, some things. But Wilt had nothing that I could see. He's super friendly, he's really polite, he's always willing to help out, he's just an overall great guy. The reason he's at number 10 is that he could be a bit too good, if you know what I'm saying. Still, if someone was ever to look for someone to give the Citizen of the Year award, they would need to look no further than this guy. Coming in at 9 is the oldest by show that is, character on this list. A magically cheerful guy who always entertains, is loyal to his friends, and can always be counted on when things get rough. At number 9 is Genie. Now, I will admit that, as far as I can remember, I wasn't really what you would call a die-hard Aladdin fan. I have watched some of the show and a couple of the movies, and I quite liked them, but I didn't really get into the franchise as such. Still, Genie always got my attention with his somewhat bumbling behavior and rather unorthodox way that he used his magic. I also enjoyed his friendliness and how he always tried to look on the bright side of things. The reason I'm putting him so low on this list is because, as I said before, the franchise never fully grabbed me as a kid, and I don't think I could sit through the movies again. Save maybe King of Thieves, but that's a big maybe. However, in terms of amusement and general likability, he makes this list at number 9. At 8 is a character from a show that is still going strong. While I myself don't generally watch it unless the episode synopsis grabs me, The Simpsons is still a pretty decent show with many colorful characters. However, I'm limiting my choice to a member of the actual family, and the one member that I can consistently like is Lisa. Bart is, to put it bluntly, the devil incarnate. Homer is an extremely lazy blimp. Marge is, despite being a nice person, a nag in every sense of the word, and Maggie doesn't really do anything. I do have to admire Lisa for her sheer grit. What she has had to put up with that family would, I'm pretty sure, lead most people to either running away or suicide. Now, it's said that she's the most level-headed of the family, and the majority of the time she is. Of course, she has had her moments, so she's not perfect. But hey, she's only human. Cut her some slack. Because of this ability to persevere, she earns her place at number 8. For number 7, I've had to make a pretty tough choice. Both of these guys I really like, and I also feel sorry for them. When it comes to the Bikini Bottom residents, there are two that always stand out for me. Plankton and Squidward. Both I find really likable. Yes, even Plankton. And if I wanted to, I'd tie them both for the 7th spot. But, since I stated at the start that I wouldn't be allowing ties, it pretty much came down to a mental coin toss. So, the number 7 spot is going to the minuscule supervillain himself, Plankton. Now you might be asking, why would you feel sorry for Plankton? He's a bad guy. Okay, I know he's a villain, always trying to steal the Krabby Patty formula, and he doesn't care how he does it and who he has to use to get it. But think about it. All he wants is a successful business. He gets no customers and earns no money. Granted, what he's trying to sell is repulsive. Therefore, he resorts to stealing and generally fails. Personally, I think what he should do is work on making his chum edible. Add some herbs, maybe some other kind of meat. You know, quit the whole stealing thing, it's clearly not working. Still, that's what makes him famous, for lack of a better word. He's a villain, and that's probably how he's going to stay. And that's why he's at 7. Scowling her way into the 6th spot is Little Miss I Don't Take Shit From No One. If you get on this chick's bad side, you better be ready to pay for it. If, however, you manage to earn her approval, all I'm going to say is tread carefully. At 6 is Mandy. She's rude, she's bad-tempered, and she plans to one day destroy the human race. But I absolutely love her. I love her character. I love how abusive she is. Her sarcasm and sharp tongue make her so endearing. I do, however, have to question why she's friends with Billy. Now, I don't really have anything against Billy. I just don't find him as likable as other people do. But I digress. The one thing I do wish is that Mandy would be a bit nicer to Grim. He doesn't really deserve some of the abuse he gets from her. Better for her to be focused on Billy. Anyway, as we all know, Mandy hasn't always been a violent and moody bitch. We have seen on some rare occasions that she'll break character, from fear to lovesickness. However, I think most of us will agree that moody Mandy is best. Her personality makes her who she is, and lands her at number 6. Making the list at 5 is someone who, like with my Kawasumi from Canon, I felt a bit of a connection with. Like Raven, I generally have a tendency to keep to myself most of the time, and I only have a couple of really close friends. While I've pretty much dropped Teen Titans, Raven still remains my one favorite character of the team. I also really like how similar she is to Mandy, what with her often sarcastic and tactless personality. Of course, the main difference between them being that Mandy will tear you apart with her fists if you step wrong, while Raven will tear you apart with her mind if you step wrong. And I'm pretty sure that Grim, Billy, and Beast Boy will attest to that, being the main victims. I do kind of feel sorry for Raven though. Having psychic powers, I'm certain they're psychic, sounds really fun, but having them powered by your emotions just sucks. All Teen Titans followers will know that Raven has to meditate every day to keep herself in check, and she pretty much has to be a robot and avoid showing emotion. And that to me is just plain sad. We see many times in the show that she is an incredibly sweet-natured woman, and part of me wishes that we could have seen it more often. But hey, I don't make the shows, I just watch them. For this reason, I'm putting her ahead of Mandy, but like Mandy, she can be pretty scary at times if you know what I mean. Hell, I know I'm being nitpicky, but I need to be in order to separate these two. However, if you're ever alone at night and you see this girl, be careful, because this is one chick you definitely do not want to get on the wrong side of. Rocking her way into the number 4 spot is the goddess of rock herself. Whether that's the self-proclaimed title or whether someone gave it to her, I don't know. Either way, it fits her to a T. At 4 is Yumi. I was a pretty big fan of Hi Hi Puffy Ami Yumi some years back, and I really liked both girls. But I think Yumi's hardcore and somewhat bad girl personality appealed to me just that bit more. And I can think of few fictional people who can shred a guitar as well as her. Granted, her skill on an axe is somewhat countered by her rough buttercup-like personality. That isn't to say she's a bad person in any way, shape, or form. As with the previous two, it's actually one of her best qualities. She could just be a bit nicer to other people. And maybe she could listen to the full story before jumping to conclusions? Well, whatever. She's a rock goddess and a great friend, and that's good enough to land her at 4. How she hasn't killed Cass, though, I don't think I'll ever know. Clearly she cares for him, though it's kind of hard to see that. I do hope that the band has many more adventures and keeps rocking hard into the future. Reaching the number 3 spot is the King of the Noodleheads. Some say that he is a science experiment gone wrong. And others that he's the missing branch of the evolution tree. All I know is he's Ed. Of the 3 Eds, he's easily my favorite. His, for lack of a better word, retardedness always makes me smile. But what is with the obsession with chickens? I know it's meant to be funny, but I just don't get it. And the superhuman strength? Giving that to someone like Ed is a disaster waiting to happen. Then again, it also makes for great comedy. Ed would certainly make an interesting friend. There would certainly never be a dull moment with him around. That said, all the things that make Ed Ed would probably drive some people bonkers. Would it drive me bonkers? I really can't say. What I can say is that he is remarkably patient. That's right, I'm of course referring to his sister. I wonder if his stupidity has something to do with that. And why does he always do what she tells him like an obedient monkey? It's ridiculous. He's the older one, for crying out loud. Oh well, he still makes number 3. The runner-up of this list is in some ways very similar to Ed. Of course, he's not quite as dumb. He also has many talents, and, like Wilt and Genie, is always a really cheery guy. There's actually very little for me to fault. At 2 is Kronk. You know, if it weren't for him always following Yzma and helping her to try to overthrow Cusco, it's possible he might have made number 1. It's a bit of a shame. Kronk is a really great guy. Not terribly bright, but a great guy nonetheless. He would make an incredible friend. Plus, he's a very talented cook, and he can talk to animals. He has such potential, but he's wasting it following Miss Shrivel. He should just dump her and focus his energy elsewhere, like becoming a professional chef or a junior chipmunk leader. Squickety squeak squeak, you know what I'm saying? And is it really all his fault that Yzma's plans always fail? She should just be thankful he helps at all. If it were me, I'd try convincing him to quit. Of course, given how Yzma is also Principal Amzi, you get it, right? Well, he still earns points for always doing the right thing at the end of the day. And despite being a henchman, he has a heart of gold, and rightfully earns his place at number 2. Okay, it's time for a recap. Let's go for it. Number 10, Wilt. Number 9, Genie. Number 8, Lisa. Number 7, Plankton. Number 6, Mandy. Number 5, Raven. Number 4, Yumi. Number 3, Ed. And number 2, Kronk. Alrighty, we've reached the end. It's time for number 1, my top cartoon character of all time. The most iconic character, and the one everyone recognizes. At number 1, we have, drumroll please Ritsu, the one, the only, Bugs Bunny. What can I possibly say about Bugs that you all don't already know? I think it would be best for everyone to just watch Looney Tunes episodes with him in. He manages to outsmart almost everyone. Yosemite Sam, Elmer Fudd, even egotistical Daffy Duck, just to name a few. Does he ever get outsmarted himself? Not as far as I can tell. But I imagine other people would differ to that statement. And I can accept that. I haven't seen every Bugs Bunny episode, so if he ever does get done in, I haven't seen it. I really like Bugs. Not only is he incredibly intelligent, but like with others on this list, he's also just a really cheery guy. It's also kind of interesting just how human he is. I don't quite know why I'm saying this, but I think we could maybe learn something from Bugs. What that is, I don't know. But what I do know is that he has earned his place at the top of this list. Well, that's it for this list. As I said before, this is my first top 10 list in quite some time, so I hope I've done a good job. Feel free to leave a comment or video response with your feedback, and keep an eye out for future releases. This is Tim Tam 2400 signing off.